I've made some of my family and friends disappear. Walking away from people you love is never easy, but it's a lot harder to build a future around toxic people while you're still anchored to a toxic past. Here's how I knew it was time to let go and why I don't regret it. It started as these things often do, not with a bang, but with a quiet, chilling realization. I was sitting with a few new friends at a local event recently, and just out of nowhere, our conversations made several twists. Getting to know someone new is so interesting. There, I stood listening to them unravel their life stories of their careers, college education, financial wealth, even heartbreak. And as they spoke, my mind drifted to an old movie, Home Alone. There's a scene where Kevin wished his family would disappear, and the next morning he's alone. He's gotten what he asked for, but the house is eerie, silent, and I thought, yes, that's it. That's the feeling. The aftermath of breaking off relationships to protect your peace. It's the moment you wake up and realize you've made your family and friends disappear. But unlike Kevin, you're not waiting for them to come back from Paris. You're standing in the rubble of what was, knowing they're still out there living their lives while you're left to navigate the silence you created. This is the paradox of walking away. And it is a deep, complicated, and often unspoken trauma. For me, it started with a series of moments where the people closest to me said and did things that fundamentally shifted something inside me. Their words weren't just harsh, they were triggering, traumatizing, and in some ways could be very damaging to one's livelihood. In those moments, my nervous system, that ancient survival part of my brain, didn't just register an argument. It registered a threat. It flashed a bright red, undeniable warning sign. They are not safe. And when you hear that message, that clearly you have to listen, you have to act, you have to make them disappear. What I keep circling back to is the part that holds its own strange kind of wisdom, the irony. In each of these stories, including my own, there was never a fight. There was no screaming match, no dramatic confrontation, no trading of insults or pointing of fingers. They said or did something that cut to the bone, something that made it clear I was an option and was worth the loss or the insult rather than a priority to protect or keep safe. And in that moment, the shock of it all didn't spark rage in me. It sparked silence. It was as if someone had pulled a plug, and all the energy I might have used to defend myself, to argue my case, to make them understand how much they've hurt me, just drained away. I didn't lash out. I didn't blame. I simply walked away. And I've come to believe that this instinct to go quiet, to offer nothing more in response, wasn't weakness. It was the clearest possible message. Because when someone can do or say something so wrecking and not think twice about it, what further communication could possibly help? Any word I added would only have made things worse, would have given them more of my energy, more of my time, more of me that they had already shown they didn't value or deserve. So I walked, and in the walking, I made their entire physical being disappear from my life. I often come back to an old familiar phrase when I sit with this. It was good that I was afflicted, because in that affliction, in that moment of being treated as less than, I gained something invaluable. I learned the truth. I would much rather know sooner than later whether I'm dealing with a friend or a foe. The pain of the discovery is sharp, but it's a clean pain. It doesn't fester the way years of confusion and self-doubt would have. So yes, it was good, not because the hurt was good, but because the clarity was. But what happens after the door slams? What is the aftermath of that kind of protective erasure? One of my newfound friends, a great guy who is ordinarily the stoic one in our circle, opened up about the specific kind of grief he carries. He said he suffers from missing his friends. He misses the way it was. He can recall the inside jokes, the late night talks, the shared history with perfect clarity, and he aches for that. Until, as he puts it, until that or it happened to him. A business partnership gone wrong. One partner was having a 7-year affair with his wife the entire time of being partners. The other friend was stealing money from their business, getting away with over $5 million. That type of betrayal is a hard pill to swallow. He lives in a state of constant internal conflict, replaying a tape of the good times only for the tape to suddenly scratch and skip to the memory of the betrayal. He is mourning people who are still alive. This is what they call a living grief, or more technically, an ambiguous loss. Unlike a physical death, which has a clear beginning and end to the mourning process, this loss has no closure. The person still exists. You might see them across town or their face pops up on your phone screen. They are alive and well, but the relationship, the trust, the safety you felt with them is dead. You are left to mourn the family or the friends they should have been, while simultaneously having to protect yourself from the people they actually are. That cognitive dissonance is a heavy, exhausting weight to carry. Then there's Joanna, a woman who has taken a different, more extreme path. She described her choice with a chilling clarity. She is self-isolated. She has built a fortress around herself and pulled up the drawbridge to avoid relationships altogether. She's financially well off. She has a son that lives out of state but rarely sees him anymore. Her motivation isn't a preference for solitude, but a deep, bone-level fear of more of the same. When you've been hurt by the people who were supposed to have your back, your brain rewires itself. It decides that the danger isn't just those specific people, but the very concept of connection. You become hyper-vigilant. Your nervous system, having been blindsided by a backstab from someone in your inner circle, now stays in a state of constant alert, waiting for the next hit. It's exhausting. Shutting them off isn't a choice made out of pettiness or anger. It becomes a survival mechanism. It's the only way to finally stop your body from bracing for the inevitable impact of the next cruel word or hurtful action. For her, the silence of the fortress, while lonely, is infinitely safer than the unpredictable chaos of the battlefield outside. In stark contrast to the isolator's fear-based retreat, another woman, Eliza, offered a different perspective, one born of hard-won wisdom. She stated flatly that being alone is way better than being in the midst of a constant repeat of the hurt. For her, this isn't about fear. This is about math. She has calculated the cost. On one side of the ledger, there is the company of those people, the drama, the triggers, the inconsistency, the emotional tax of walking on eggshells. On the other side, there is solitude, the peace, the predictability, the ability to trust her own reality without it being distorted by someone else. She has decided that her peace is a non-negotiable asset. It is the most valuable currency she owns, and she refuses to spend it on relationships that deplete her. She has made them disappear, not out of malice, but out of a powerful act of self-valuation. And then there is the youngest voice in our group, a young attorney, 34, who was caught in the cruelest part of the aftermath. He said he feels damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. He walked away from his father because he was being emotionally hurt, slowly eroded by the constant drip of toxicity, trying to keep up with an image his father forced upon him. "Greatness is what I expect, his father would often yell, but seemingly whenever he'd fall short, he'd reap his father's wrath. And now that he has left that circle, he is hurt again, this time by a deep, smothering depression born from the loss. While he misses his father, he despised the warden-like manner in which his father raised him. The sheer disbelief of their actions. This is the hidden injury. It's the realization that there is no winning move in this game. There is only the choice between two different kinds of pain. It is entirely possible and profoundly confusing to be devastated by the absence of people who were objectively bad for you. This feeling challenges the very core of what we're taught about relationships, that good endings should feel good and bad endings should feel like a relief. But they don't. They just feel like loss. And through all of this, there is the unspoken layer, the one that digs at you late at night. They are still alive. They are out there living their lives, posting pictures on social media, laughing with new people, acting as if nothing has happened. You have performed this great erasure in your own life, removing them from your narrative to survive. But in their narrative, you are simply a blank space, a chapter they've closed and forgotten. You're left with the phantom limb of the relationship, feeling the ghost of their presence every time you instinctively want to share a piece of news or see a movie you used to watch together. The injustice of it can be suffocating. You're left to pick up the pieces of your emotional landscape, to rebuild your sense of self. While they seem to face no consequences for their actions, you have to ask yourself, was the relationship even real to them? This brings us to the concept of identity. For many of us, family and close friends are supposed to be a mirror. They reflect back to us who we are. But what happens when that mirror is distorted? What happens when the reflection you see is warped by their hurtful words, their projections, and their trauma? You start to question your own reality. You begin to see a version of yourself that isn't true. In order to finally see your true reflection clearly, you have to smash the distorted mirror. You have to make them disappear. The act of erasure becomes an act of self-definition. It is the only way to ghost the false identity they helped create and finally see who you are without their shadow cast upon you. After hearing all of this pain, the grief, the isolation, the depression, the crisis of identity, you have to ask yourself, knowing what we know now about the loneliness and the complicated aftermath, would we do it again? And for all of us, the answer is a resounding, quiet, and certain yes. Because the alternative, staying in a space of constant emotional unsafety, is not an alternative at all. It is a slow, corrosive death of the self. The aftermath is painful, yes. The silence is loud. The grief is real. But the active hurt of the relationship was unsustainable. It was a wound that was being picked at every single day. This leads us to the burden of false guilt. Just like Kevin McAllister, who initially felt a pang of guilt and responsibility for making his family disappear, we too carry that weight. We wonder if we were too harsh, too quick to do X, too unforgiving. We replay the scenarios, looking for the moment we could have done something different. But the crucial difference is this: Kevin didn't actually make his family disappear. They left him through neglect and a travel mishap. In the same way, we didn't create this rift through malice. We simply responded to an unsafe environment with the only tool we had left: our own absence. The disappearance was a consequence of their actions, not our cruelty. Shedding that false guilt is one of the most critical steps in the healing process. It is the moment you stop blaming yourself for the fire and start focusing on treating your own burns. So what is the verdict? Is the peace worth the price? The peace you protect on the other side of that pain is the most valuable thing you own. The grief is simply the toll you pay for your freedom. The great erasure we perform on these relationships isn't about wiping people from the face of the earth. It's about wiping their destructive influence from the core of our being. We remove them from the narrative of our daily lives to make space for a new story to be written. The path forward isn't about forgetting. It's about integration. It's about acknowledging the grief and giving yourself permission to mourn the loss of the dream of that relationship. It's about curating your exposure to their lives, muting, unfollowing, and refusing to pick at the scab of their online presence. For those who have isolated in fear, it's about slowly, gently rebuilding trust, starting with low-stakes connections in safe environments. And for everyone, it's about actively investing in the people who do feel safe, the ones who make you feel seen, heard, and valued. Protecting your peace is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of profound and necessary survival. It is the difficult, courageous work of choosing yourself. And while the aftermath may be a landscape marked by silence and the ghosts of who we once loved, it is also a landscape of newfound clarity. It is a blank space where, for the first time, you have the quiet and the safety to build something real. You have made them disappear, not out of spite, but to finally, truly find yourself. And in that finding, you discover that the peace you fought for wasn't just the absence of conflict. It was the presence of you. Until next time.